Hello, cryptonauts, and welcome back to another episode of Cryptocurrency Chat. I am your host, Blockchain John, here with my co-host Jake Jabarelli, ready to give you the crypto news of the day. All right, let's go ahead. Let me move this over to main
This
screen so you
is
can see what we're doing here.
episode
All right, so
450 for those of you who didn't
four,
hear Jen say it. But
450, 450 episodes. Can you believe that, dude? It's been
yeah,
around for a while,
it's awesome.
and we're actually now. I expanded the distribution via podcast. Now we're actually on 15 different podcasting platforms. Amazing, amazing.
Yep.
Number one is
We're
on
everywhere.
Spotify.
We're everywhere. We're
Yes,
everywhere.
cool. All right, let's head on over to the first news, written by Sandra Lutz, provided by Decrypt.co. Coin Center sues Treasury over tornado cash ban. Bum bum bum. Crypto policy nonprofit Coin Center filed a federal lawsuit against the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control on Wednesday, claiming the government agency unlawfully overreached its authority when it criminalized interaction with the Ethereum coin mixing tool Tornado Cash in August. With Wednesday's lawsuit, Coin Center made good on a promise made in the days following the unilateral ban of the crypto privacy tool and numerous wallet addresses associated with it. That the association would likely challenge the Tornado Cash ban in court. And here's a tweet from Jerry Brito. Right, that tweet says, "Today, Coin Center filed suit in federal district court against OFAC, challenging its authority to sanction Tornado Cash immutable smart contracts." That's the end of that tweet. OFAC justified the ban at the timing by arguing that Tornado Cash, which obfuscates the trails of typically public Ethereum transactions by mixing many transactions together and thus rendering them untraceable, had been used to launder money by bad actors, including North Korean state sponsored hacking organizations, the Lazarus Group. Many in crypto immediately fired back, saying that adding the tool to a list typically reserved for terrorist organizations and enemy nations, the US government had declared war against crypto's oldest, holiest tenets, user privacy. Coin Center's leadership views today's lawsuit as critical to crypto users' rights to privacy, as well as to crypto's very survival. Quote, "Not only are we fighting for privacy rights, but if this president is allowed to stand, OFAC could add entire protocols like Bitcoin or Ethereum to sanctions list in the future, thus immediately banning them without any public process whatsoever," Coin Center executive director Jerry Brito tweeted this morning. "This can't go unchallenged." The lawsuit filed today in the United States District Court, Northern District of Florida, joins another similar federal suit filed last month against the U.S. Treasury by crypto exchange Coinbase. That suit argued predominantly that OFAC overstepped the laws by banning a piece of open source software unaffiliated with any company. Tornado Cash is a permissionless, decentralized tool that operates without the oversight of a parent organization. While Coin Center while CoinCenter's lawsuit touches on that argument, it also advances the specific claims that OFAC's regulatory mandate granted by the International Emergency Economic Powers Act only permits the agency to power the power to block Americans from, quote, transacting with a foreign person or major foreign entity. When we or our co-plaintiffs use the Tornado Cash tools, we do so as normal privacy-seeking Americans, Brito and Coin Center Research Director Peter van Valkenburg said in a statement today. Quote, "We do not engage in any transactions with any foreign person or entity or their property. Instead, we are using immutable and widely available software on the Ethereum blockchain to move our own valuables from one place in crypto in cyberspace that is fully under our control to another place that we also control," he said. The fact that OFAC designated Ethereum transactions running through Tornado Cash as foreign clashes with the perspective recently put forward by another executive branch agency, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Last month, the SEC claimed in a federal lawsuit that all Ethereum transactions globally should be considered under American jurisdiction because the plurality of Ethereum's decentralized node validators are based in the United States. While OFAC and the SEC are not bound to holding the same views on all matters, the contrast between their views on Ethereum's status as a foreign or domestic entity could become a key flashpoint in the US government's escalating mission to bring crypto under its purview. Coin Center's suit seeks to fully overturn the Tornado Cash ban and restore Americans' right to use the tool. Quote, privacy is normal, Brito and Van Valkenburg said today. And where we win, and when we win our lawsuit using Tornado Cash, will be the normal again.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the way. Exactly. I back these guys 100%.
Yeah, this kind of stuff is something I was sort of going over. Not the same thing, but a similar thing that I was going over with my tax accountant today from other business. And her comment that this reminds me of, especially when he says, when I transact, value from a thing that I control to another thing that I control, there's nothing there. You don't need to, you don't need to step in. The government doesn't have any purview on that. Doesn't even need to be involved. And that's what I was trying to tell the tax accountant was like, if I move money from one of my wallets to another wallet that is mine, that's none of the government's business. They don't need to know about me moving my money. It's like if I tried to move my car from my house to my shop. The government doesn't need to know about that. They might, but they don't need to. If I move $5 from my wallet into my desk at my office, why does the government need to know about that? They don't, and they probably don't know I'm doing it. So the same thing goes for the coin. What difference does it make? Why do they need to know I'm moving my coin from something I own to something else I own? Ooh, Anyways, I think one of the examples I keep thinking of is that one of the ways that criminals got away with not sending emails for basically the police or investigators to get was they just wouldn't send any emails anymore. What they do is they'd share the email username and password, and then they would log in. They'd write a message out as an email, and then they'd give the permissions information to the other person so that they could read the email and respond on the same email thread without ever sending the email.
Yeah,
and I was like,
draft.
Yeah, right. You don't even need to write the email and send it anywhere. You just give the information to the other person. And so I was like, yeah, I completely agree with that. Not to say that a person needs to necessarily be a criminal to do this kind of thing, but still, it's just, I don't know. I get their reasons why they want to know what's going on, but that doesn't mean they need to have their hand up their butt the entire time just to do it. So, continuing on with a hack. I'm talking about bad news here. Also on Decrypt by Jason Nelson. Solana DeFi trading platform Mango Markets loses $100 million in hack. The second $100 million DeFi hack this week. The second? Oh, geez, right? Mango Markets was drained of $100 million in funds due to an exploit. Sounds about right. Mango Markets tweeted Thursday that a hacker was able to empty funds from Mango via an Oracle price manipulation. Only last Thursday, $100 million was stolen from Binance Smart Change, another DeFi protocol. According to the blockchain auditing website OtterSec, I wonder what that's for, the attacker temporarily drove up the value of their collateral and then took out loans from Mango Treasury. Mango Markets is a Solana-based platform for trading digital assets on the Solana blockchain for spot margin and trading perpetual futures. Mango Markets is governed by the Mango DAO. It's an economic design flaw, OtterSec founder Robert Chen told Decrypt via Telegram, adding that it's a risk that Mango Markets had already acknowledged. And here is his commentary. It appears that the attacker was able to manipulate the Mango, I'm just reading part of the tweet here, their Mango collateral. They temporarily spiked up their collateral value and then took out massive loans from the Mango Treasury based on that spike. At 6:19 p.m. Eastern, an attacker funded an account A with 5 that's a million, I'm guessing, USDC collateral, tweeted Joshua Lim, former head of derivatives at Genesis Global Trading. As Lim explained, the attacker subsequently offered out 483 million units of Mango perps, or perpetual contracts, on the Mango Markets order book. Then at 6:24 p.m. Eastern, the attacker funded another account with 5 million USDC collateral to buy those 483 million units of Mango perps for 0.03 per unit. At 6:26 p.m., the attacker started moving the Mango spot market, driving the price up to 91 cents and the value of the 483 million Mango to $423 million.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to read what Joshua Lim has to say here in his tweet thing here. This is how I think Mango attack played out. Please let me know if I got anything wrong. And what we just read was what happened. The attacker then took out a $116 million loan, leaving the Mango's treasury with a negative balance of $116.7 million. Assets drained include USDC, MSOL, SOL, BTC, USDT, SRM, and Mango, wiping out all of Mango's liquidity. In response, Mango Market says it has disabled deposits and is taking steps to have third-party funds frozen. A Twitter user noted that the attacker was funded from 5.5 million from FTX, prompting FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried to respond that the company is investigating. Mango Markets has offered the attacker the chance to collect a bug bounty in exchange for return of the stolen funds.
Sure. No, that I don't think they're going to return those funds anytime soon.
No.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we found a bug and we're taking it. This is a 0-day bug. Bye. Too
Yeah.
bad.
That hurts. That hurts bad. Ouch. Be careful. Be careful what you invest into. This could have happened to anybody. It's one of those things that there's so many smart contracts going on out there. It just takes one little line of code, and keep in mind that, and I don't think people realize, on the back end when these developers are creating code, there's literally millions of lines of code that either they're importing these contracts, which majority of them are, right? Like the majority of these dApps are not 100% created from scratch. They're usually just ported into a contract. It's like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this, and I'm just going to do a slight modification here, and here we go. Now this is a new dApp that we got going on. Unbeknownst, whatever they imported, it could be where the bug is hidden. You know?
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing that happened in this case. Not so much a bug in their code as it is just a factor of how things work. And this person,
Mm-hmm.
the very thing that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren were making a point about is that it took us 200 years to get to this point, and the protections we currently have in place for the public and money and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general are living through the whole thing in a short span of 10 years. So they're running into all the same problems, except now we have computers, which could make our lives even worse and more difficult, and things can go much faster. Like the reading of this article said, that everything happened within 5 minutes. So in the past, you had to go rob a bank physically with guns and horses. Then a long time ago, and back then you'd probably get $2 grand. Now you can take $100 million. So
It's crazy, man. All right, let's head on over to the next news. This is quite interesting, at least according to the title. So we're gonna see what's going on here. This one's written by Andrew Asmakov, once again from decrypt.co. Bitcoin Lightning Network misses block after enormous multi-sig transaction. What? Let's see what happened here. Lightning Network's experimental nature, a layer 2 network built on top of Bitcoin that allows for faster, low fee transactions, is one of the reasons developers have warned users not to risk large amounts when sending and receiving funds. The warning now sounds even more reasonable after a Bitcoin developer inadvertently tested the network's limit by creating a complex multi signature transaction that saw the Lightning Network miss producing one block. Though the network continued to produce blocks and route payments, this missed block meant that the network was temporarily out of sync. Typically, Lightning Network's users open up channels using a simple 2 of 2 multi sig setup where two signatures are required to spend the funds. What Barak how do you say Keksili, the founder of BitMatrix, did was create a 998 of 999 multi-sig transaction on Bitcoin. meaning it required 998 private key signatures to authenticate the transaction, an enormously complex and unusual task in itself. Though the transaction, which cost the developers $4.90 in fees, was accepted by block producers and mined into a mainnet Bitcoin block, it confused the methods used by LND to calculate what the most recent Bitcoin block was. As explained by Alaulua Asuntunku, CTO at Lightning Labs, due to this bug, LND wasn't able to parse a new block, but was able to continue to forward as normal. With any request to open new channels rejected too, as LND recognized that its internal wallet wasn't synced to the chain. After many users took to GitHub to complain that they could not open new channels on the network due to the sync issue, the developers at Lightning Labs identified and released a hotfix, which is now available as LND version 0.15.2. While successfully resolved, the case has also demonstrated that the Lightning Network development is still a work in progress, and many more things will still have to be addressed before the protocol can be considered stable enough. Oh, that was a short one.
Yeah, it was good to see
That's
that
interesting.
they were doing testing on it. This guy was,
Yeah.
it cost $5 to do it, but now they know their limits and they need to work on it more.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is actually a good thing, even though it costs $5. I think every blockchain should actually test the limits of their chain for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
think
the
that's a
whole
very
point of
healthy
having
thing.
those bug races, right? Google's been doing this for years. They're like, hey, we know there are people who are really smart out there. We know there are people who are trying to steal from us. Please try, and we'll pay you a fee, and then we'll be able to patch that hole.
Yeah, I think this is a good article. I don't even want to say it's a hard lesson learned. It's a very educational lesson learned for only $5. I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
So on to regulation. Kate Irwin writes, G20 to review crypto regulation framework this week. That's the G20 conference here. These 20 different groups and or companies, or rather nations. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, on Monday submitted a framework to increase international transparency in crypto to the G20. 20 participating member countries make up the G20, including China, India, South Korea, Brazil, the U.S., United Kingdom, and the European Union, which is not a country, just to name a few. Back in April of 2021, G20 tasked the OECD with developing a method for automating cryptocurrency tax reporting between nations. G20 finance ministers and central bank governors will review the 100-page crypto asset reporting framework, or CARF, their acronyms, along with suggested amendments to the group's Common Reporting Standards, CRS, at their next meeting, which will occur Wednesday and Thursday in Washington, D.C. The OECD first passed the CARF, my bad, in August, a report that the group calls a transparency initiative for crypto. Among other things, it defines what crypto assets and NFTs are, offers a plan for automatic international crypto tax reporting, and includes provisions for cryptocurrencies derivatives trading. According to a statement, the OECD said that cryptocurrencies are not currently covered by the CRS, which was designed to prevent international tax evasion. Because, damn it, we need our money. The OECD argued that because crypto is not covered under the current standard, there is a likelihood of their use for tax evasion. Yes, this has definitely been happening. While undermining the process made in tax transparency through the adoption of the CRS. The OECD's proposed amendments to the CRS also include the addition and definition of the central bank digital currencies. While the framework will likely affect many countries, the U.S. may be an exception, like it always is. In a blog post, Coinbase stated it believes the CARF and CRS will be applied to all nations except for the U.S. because the U.S. will create its own crypto tax regulations because it's better. From the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Remember, U.S. of A., World Police. Altogether, the proposed framework and amended standards may mean the beginning of the end of the wild, wild west of cryptocurrency and the varied patchwork of international regulations. World leaders are recognizing that crypto is a trillion-dollar industry. Yep, just barely. And that some illicit traders may abuse crypto's permissionless and sometimes pseudonymous nature to evade sanctions, taxes, or engage in other illicit activity. Sure they will, because it's all traceable. That's great. These and subsequent moves by the OECD and G20 may make life a little harder for plane hopping crypto moguls like Terra's Do Kwon. Hey, he's not leaving. He's still there, right? Who's now in Interpol's red notice list, or Michael Saylor, who's now being sued by the U.S. Attorney General for alleged tax fraud. Yeah. I wish I had enough money to be sued.
Right. All right, let's head on to the next news. This one's written by Matt DeSalvo. Wow, he shortened his name. It was Matthew DeSalvo, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Matt. It's Matt DeSalvo. All right, this one's once again from decrypt.co. Treasury fines crypto exchange Bittrex $53 million for sanctions violations. The U.S. government has hit digital asset exchange Bittrex with fines of $53 million, the biggest fine on a crypto business by the Treasury Department to date. The Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, and Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, said Tuesday that the U.S. exchange would have to pay two fines to the government's entities of over $24 million and $29 million, respectively, for apparent violations of multiple U.S. sanctioned programs. Bittrex, which is based in Bellevue, Washington, unnecessarily exposed the U.S. financial systems to threat actors, according to the authorities. This is because the exchange allegedly allowed people from the Crimea region of Ukraine, Cuba, Iran, Sudan, and Syria to make crypto transactions of over $263 million between March 2014 and December 2017, the statement said. It also failed to have a proper anti-money laundering program, it added, and therefore had significant exposure to illicit finances. When virtual currency firms fail to implement effective sanctions compliance controls, including screening customers located in sanctioned jurisdictions, they can become a vehicle for illicit actors that threatens U.S. national security, OFAC Director Andrea Gacki said in Tuesday's statement. FinCEN Acting Director Himamalui Das added that Bittrex AML anti-money laundering program and SAR suspicious activity reports reporting failures exposed the U.S. financial systems to threat actors for years. The Treasury Department is trying to crack down on crypto crimes. Just last month, the body banned U.S. citizens from using Tornado Cash, a popular coin mixing app that makes Ethereum transactions anonymous.
So I have a comment on this. I've been a long time Bittrex user, longer than before they apparently were accused of this action. The thing I was always wondering is, if a person from Syria, or Iran, or Cuba, or North Korea for that matter, stored, let's say, $5 worth of Bitcoin on Bittrex, and was just a regular person, just wanting to put some coin on Bittrex, and they only ever put $5 on there. And let's say there was a lot of people who just put $5 worth on there. That was it. But they're all from those countries. Would it still be illegal? And the reason I say this is that if Google had never made any money off of Android, would Oracle have actually sued them? No, they wouldn't. Because they wouldn't have cared. And the same thing goes for this. It's not about who it was about how much it was. Mm-hmm. Because if it was, like I said, it was $5 worth, if Kim Jong-un had an account on Bittrex and he just put $5, not that he would, but let's say he did, the U.S. government wouldn't care. They'd probably think it was weird, but they would be like, we're gonna fine you $53 million because you let Kim Jong-un put $5 of Bitcoin on your... No, because it wouldn't be worth their time. It's not about the act. It's about the amount.
Yeah.
That's
That's what happened with Tornado Cash. I mean, Tornado Cash, it's not a new thing. It's been around for years.
Yep.
Rising in popularity, and there's just been more and more liquidity just going into it.
Yep.
And more users. It reached hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions, and next thing you know, all of a sudden now they got to shut it down. There's so
Yeah.
much money being flooded into it. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
That's the thing that bothers me so much about it. It's never about the act. It's about the money. And if it wasn't, if it was, like I said, if it was a whole bunch of, if MBS and Putin and Kim Jong Un all just had $5 in Bittrex, no one would care.
Do you think Silk Road will still be around if it was just low liquidity?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure. In fact, I'm betting there is something like Silk Road that's currently around right now that is very low liquidity and no one cares. So
Great. Yeah.
it's all about the low process. It's like if you make money off of terrorism, then you're a terrorist. I mean a lot of money, not a little money. Because if you make $5 off a terrorist, you're not a terrorist. It's only if you're sending millions of dollars around, then you're a terrorist. So, and I'm sure there's somebody out there who would say, no. It has to be more than that. I mean, you wouldn't be doing it otherwise. Like, no, you know what? I'm not saying I want terrorism in this world. I don't. I don't want terrorism for anyone. But it's about the money. So, anyways, the last article about more government taxing people. Portugal plans to impose a 28% tax on crypto gains. And I was wondering, why would they do this? Let's find out. Kate Oren writes. The Portuguese government has proposed a new cryptocurrency tax policy that would take effect as part of the 2023 national budget, according to a government-issued report published on Monday. Within the nearly 450-page macroeconomic strategy and fiscal policy report, a small section states that the Portuguese government, it's interesting they just found that part, maybe they searched for crypto, will impose a 28% capital gains tax on, that's really not that high, but still significant, on cryptocurrency gains made within 1 year. So it's a short-term capital gains tax. However, gains realized after 1 year of holding the crypto assets will be exempt from such a tax. Well, that's good. So you just got to have a long-term gains, you don't have to pay anything. The Portuguese government also intends to impose a 4% tax on any free crypto transfers and will also apply stamp duties where applicable. The proposal intends to treat crypto as equal to other industries and to establish a clear framework for crypto taxation. 28% is the standard capital gains tax rate in the country, so it's no normal than what they were already doing. While the draft budget numbers have not yet been approved by the Portuguese Parliament, the proposal aligns with the nation's Minister of Finance, Fernando Medina, declared back in May. The crypto would soon be subject to the country's capital gains tax laws, like it currently isn't, apparently. Over the past decade, Portugal has become an appealing destination for international residents who flocked to the country due to its more flexible visa and immigration options and overall affordability. Portugal saw a massive 40% increase in immigration between 2011 and 2021, according to data from the European Commission. As of 2021, 5.4% of its total population, or of roughly 10 million, are non-citizens. What does that mean? They just weren't born in Portugal? Cryptocurrency is at least one of the reasons for Portugal's shifting demographics. The country is home to what some call Bitcoin Beach in Meia Praia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. An unofficial gathering place for crypto fanatics who relocated to avoid cryptocurrency taxes in Italy and France. The country also granted its first crypto banking license in April. While Portuguese Parliament rejected a Bitcoin tax bill earlier this year, the administration does not appear to have given up on taxing crypto. If Monday's draft budget is approved, it remains to be seen how the new politics will affect Portugal's crypto economy and if it will face an exodus like in India, as companies and investors flee to lower tax nations. It doesn't seem as bad as I initially thought it was. It just sounds like they're just doing business as usual. But it also sounds like they're saying, well, people have come here.
If you're doing a cross comparison to the states, I mean, what are we paying in tax? And not just, I'm not talking about just in regards to crypto, but just in regards to our income, right? Like, dude,
all European
25%,
nations,
30%.
all European nations have a higher tax rate than the U.S. currently does. which is funny because prior to Ronald Reagan in 1980, the U.S. had one of the highest tax structures for payment on. So if you made more than, which I realize is still a lot of money, if you made more than $375,000 in a year, you had to pay 94% tax on the money above $375,000, which is almost all of it. Basically, you got to keep 6% of whatever you made over 375.
Wow.
Which is how it sounds ridiculous today, but it was Reagan who got rid of all those taxes and completely changed the tax format for people, and that's honestly
What?
where we've gotten the huge number of billionaires in the U.S. today. So
Okay.
it used to be you
I was
couldn't.
reading-
There literally was a cap on how much money you could make in the U.S. Not anymore.
Okay. All right. Is just one last thing. I just want to plug in here on this podcast, episode 450. There was an article that went out in regards to PayPal. PayPal does have crypto. You can buy crypto on PayPal. You can't take it out. It is centralized. It does stay on there. But there was an article that went out that basically PayPal is saying that you don't have the right to free speech. If you say anything that goes against their beliefs or their vision of what should be spoken on, then you will be fined $2,500. Basically, in a nutshell, that's all bad. And this kind of, in my opinion, is steering towards the whole CBDC vision. This is just step one. That is bad. Like literally, if everybody had CBDC, the future payments of economics, right? Dude, you don't have the freedom of speech. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. I just wanted to put that on the record for episode 450, because this is just the beginning of a lot to be revealed in the near future. In our lifetime, it's not looking good.
I think that's one other comment I wanted to make.
Scapegoat for me is with crypto.
Yeah.
Keep your keys, keep your coins.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that there's the one way in regard to the Bitrex article that you read earlier. How do you find a decentralized exchange? Right. Bitrex is a centralized exchange, and it resides in, I believe, Washington State. That is. So it's physically got a location, and so the U.S. federal government and the state of Washington have jurisdiction over it. But if you have a decentralized exchange, who pays the taxes? Who pays the fines? Who deals with the illegal actors? Well, there aren't any, because there's no one place that. I mean, it's decentralized, right?
Exactly.
So isn't the
Like
point to go to decentralized? Well, we're making this argument. That's our whole podcast concept here.
Yeah. Like we were talking off air before the podcast. The whole idea of having, in regards to Celsius, a lot of people got doxxed on Celsius. All their stuff is public information.
Right.
If there was no KYC and we all just verified through a DEX with signing our signatures via our keys, with our tokens that we're investing into the contract, into the smart contract, or into the DEX, that would probably be the best way to go. It was extremely more difficult to trace that stuff. But Celsius trying to stay legal. They KYC, but obviously things didn't go the way they envisioned, or just leave it at that.
I personally like the way that is currently being done with certain coins, in that you lock them up, like with Cosmos Network. You can't take them out for 20 days or whatever, 21 days. That means it's guaranteed to not move. You can request it be taken out, but you can't take it out. So it doesn't move quickly. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that to prevent a quote run on the banks, right?
Yep.
Run on crypto.
Yep. You can't take it out fast. You can ask it to be taken out fast, but you can't take it out fast. Now, if everybody decides they want to take it out, it's still going to take 3 weeks. So I just really appreciate that, because it slows things down. It's part of the network. It's not part of some centralized entity's idea. It is literally built into the blockchain of that network. and it's just how it's set. If you don't like it, we can change it. We can vote on changing it, but it's this way right now. And to me, I think that's the best way DeFi could ever go. It prevents these, fly-by-night actors. You can put it in, and you can immediately request to have it taken out. I've seen people demonstrate on YouTube where they put money into Cosmos and immediately try to take it out, but it's not coming out for 21 days. So, all right. Well, that's all I got to say. Let's just point out that we have this really cool website called Cointree. It's Cointree/C3 Media. And you can check out all of our links that we take donations on at the top, and you can also check out all of our social media on the bottom. And you can see our C3 Media Search, Discord, YouTube, Twitter, Odyssey, Twitch, Spotify, Anchor, Patreon, TipNMe, etc., etc., etc. A whole bunch of different ways you can check us out, as well as our C3 Media T-shirts. We have 3 different designs as of right now. The most popular is the Diamond Hands, Stack Sats, and HODL, but we also have a Diamond Hands Never Sell, and our original logoed T-shirt, Stack Sats, and HODL. So check out the swag, check out the Cointree. We are grateful that you've been here for the 450th episode of C3 Media Podcast. And just going to plug in the what's the event you got going on at the end of the month? The Raven.
Yeah, the Ravencoin Global Awards, that's coming up. Anybody that's part of the Ravencoin community knows that it's coming up. It's pretty much our annual awards for pretty much the people of Ravencoin and the community of pretty much just giving thanks to what they're doing in the ecosystem. And there's a lot of people doing good in the ecosystem. It's one of those things that's not. It doesn't have a marketing budget. It doesn't have a really a campaign to really make it work. It's just the community comes together and they're just investing their own time, their energy, their skills, just to make sure that this thing flies to the moon, more or less.
Yep.
So I'm putting this whole Ravencoin Global Awards together. There's going to be a few hundred people out there in Braveland, in the Ravencoin metaverse. So if you're interested, you guys can check out Braveland, or just go to any Ravencoin network, and you can get connected there.
Alrighty. As we say at the end of every episode, stack sats and hodl. Adios.